So let's read Mayor David Faber's letter to the editor. Mayor responds. He says, Meredith Jordan's column in the October 10th Leader entirely misconstrues the source of my frustration with the leader's coverage of the ethics complaint against me, pretending that I'm upset that a complaint about me has garnered newspaper coverage. She wasn't pretending that. She was calling him out for trashing members of the public. Look at Faber's past ethics complaint. Okay, look at everything he did to Julie Jamon. He is biased with the golf course stuff. He did put it out that it's a done deal. He handpicked the stakeholders. He's a dictator. And he says in Port Townsend who gets to have human rights, who gets to get beat up, who gets to get assaulted, who don't. Everything I've ever said about David Faber is true. Everything I've ever said about any Port Townsend official is true. Do a public records research. Look at the bar complaints I filed. Look at the criminal complaints. I put in public records. I put in court documents. I put in facts. Faber's not who he pretends to be, and he's even darker than that. When you look at his FetLife account and his supposedly living in Antarctica and all of the shady business that he's really in and who he's really talking to and what he's really doing, it is a lot darker and deeper than this superficial stuff that he's doing to control your life. It doesn't affect me. I'm not in the work system anymore. I don't live in that world. It's your taxes. It's happening to you. What Mayor David Faber did to Julie Jamon and Amy Sousa was horrific. To pit one group of women against another out for blood is sick. Great, have that opinion as a private citizen, but not as a mayor. What Faber did was not okay. And Faber was upset that an ethics complaint about him was giving front page coverage because people might believe it's true. Well, it's all true. Everything that I said about Libby Winstrom, 100% fact. Can the ethics officer do anything? No. Will they? No. In the Libby complaint, I thought that the ethics hearing officer he'd stated that she could be removed from office. I didn't know it was going to go back to city council, right? Say you did a bank heist. You got 12 of you, right? One of you gets found guilty, but the other 11 get to say whether you're guilty or not. They're co-conspirators, right? They're in on the money laundering. They were the city council were all berating Julie. They're all bullying. They're all shaming. They're all taking money. Look at the Fort Worden PDA, the $6.2 million. Libby's in charge of that. They're all corrupt. They're not doing anything for the people of Port Townsend. They're doing stuff for them and their cronies. The liberals they like. They don't care about the liberals they don't like. They above the law on any ethics. They state right in the paper with the KPTZ building, we're going to rent it to people that are like mind. And that's what they're going to do going forward. And they wanted all your tax dollars to build a new pool to rent to who they want. This is who they are. When you file an ethics complaint, it goes nowhere. Now with Libby's, it went on for 6 months. Everything I said about Libby was true, and it was in the Port Townsend Ethics Code violation. It was in the code. But the hearing examiner said, well, unless it's money or it's zoning or something like that, there's nothing that really can be done. But with hers, it was about the police giving her special privilege, and they absolutely did, and that was easily proved. But it came down to, well, she didn't ask for it, right? They give each other favors. You see in the public records where they get calls from their buddies in different businesses to all kinds of little favors, from parking to just look it up. They're the bad guys, right? So Faber's right in here about the ethics complaint process. It's not going to do anything to him. You have to sue them. If they make a bad zoning law or they do something that you don't like, don't go to a city council meeting. They don't care what you have to say. Just sue them. Your words don't matter. Ethics complaints don't matter. Take it from me. Don't waste your time on ever doing an ethics complaint. I'm following through with this, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the actual system of the city of Port Townsend because it's, the spot zoning thing hasn't happened yet. they say it's a done deal, right? Morrow and Faber pushed it through. They've told everybody it's a done deal. They're going to do what they're going to do. Out of 400 nonprofits, they pick the recyclery to get a free building. They do whatever they want. They give the YMCA lease on land for a daycare for $1. They don't give it to any of you guys. They wanted to do Healthier Together, going to run out all the small businesses. They don't represent the actual people of Port Townsend. I'll tell you a lot more about all this, but don't file an ethics complaint. Phil's a nice guy. He is neutral, but it doesn't matter. He won't. He did defend Libby Winstrom for violating our First Amendment rights. It comes down to the hearing examiner is paid by the city, right? It is good that it got coverage because a whole lot of people in Port Townsend are really upset by what's going on with the golf course and with the Jamon thing. So if Phil finds Faber guilty of violating the open meeting laws, so who cares? Then the city council decides whether to get rid of Faber or not. Well, they all did the same thing, so they're not going to. Filing an ethics complaint means nothing. There's a reason that I, Reverend Crystal Cox, the Universal Church of Light, was the first one to do it since it was put in place since 2017, because it goes nowhere. Now, you see, when Brent Shirley, he didn't do the Phil Ulbrich route, the hearing examiner. He went right to council. About the city manager Morrow. So Morrow lied, no big deal. Morrow heard all of us at the press conference, lied about it all, then got a pay raise, no big deal. He withholds public records. He gets away with it. So even if Phil finds Faber guilty of open meeting violation, they're not going to remove him from office or fine him because they all did the same thing. Okay. The only accountability you have is federal court cases, RICO cases, criminal complaints against them, at state and federal levels, exposing their financial fraud. Like you look at the PDA thing and $6.2 million, right? They set up an entity, Libby's in charge of all of her shady business, and they run up $6.2 million in debt, and then they just dissolve it. They have no accountability for any law they break. They have no accountability for people they hurt, people they assault. And you going to a public meeting and saying, I don't like it, and here's why, they don't care. I have public records with, Stephen Schumacher really believing that Libby was listening to him and Libby just trashing him, saying, oh, he always comes here. I've seen videos of city council meetings where they're like, oh, yeah, he always comes here and talks, and they always come here and talk, and they don't care what you have to say. They don't. There are laws. There's LUPA and SEPA and GMA, and there's tons of laws, and Phil Ulbrich is a really good resource, his documents out there to look at the laws. But filing an ethics complaint about those laws, take it from my experience, it doesn't do any good. Some of it I didn't know. I knew from the Libby, but I thought that he had the power to remove Faber or fine him, but he doesn't. So there's no sense in an ethics complaint. You have to file a lawsuit in Superior Court, which in Port Townsend is hit or miss. With the receivership, I don't know that Mac's going to go along with the corruption or not. You've yet to see. He gave me the smackdown, but yet he also, lifted some of the Salish Rescue's constitutional rights against me. So there's still some stuff yet to be seen, but you still have to file it in Superior Court. So you guys going against the golf course, the Sims Way trees, anything instituted in Port Townsend, from parking to housing to anything, you have to sue them in Superior Court and then file an appeal to the state, because none of these meetings matter. And the ethics complaint process doesn't matter, because it comes down to the very people that were his co-conspirators that are going to decide. And it's your tax dollars. So Mayor Faber put out, well, none of the chuds ran against me, so I must not be that bad. Well, he's that bad. But who's going to run against him, right? He's been there, 12 years, and Sandoval and all of their power and all of their clout, and look what George Marie did. The Rose Theater, they beg for your money, they get your taxes, and they use all that to violate your rights. So there's no reason to do an ethics complaint. So don't look for an ethics complaint to be on the front page anymore in Port Townsend, because nobody's going to file one. Okay. And if anybody files one, it's just to expose people. It's not going to be able to go anywhere. Phil Ulbrich, the neutral hearing officer, has no power. The city attorney, they just lie constantly in court. They, Faber even wanted the hearing officer to, well, you tell me whether or not that, in his summary judgment, he said, tell me whether it's okay for me to have property near the golf course, right? He's a real estate lawyer. He can't find that himself. He wants to get more special favors and get the attorney to weigh in, right? Why doesn't he ask the city attorney? I noticed in his summary judgment, he didn't say, well, I'd really like to know whether it's illegal to spot loan. Yeah, it's illegal to spot zone, but not in the long run. If they change their GMA, their codes, their comprehensive plan or whatever, then they can spot zone. So you have to watch them. That's up to you guys. And every move they make, you have to sue them. I've read hundreds of people's comments and articles about, you know, the golf course and the land preserved over 100 years. And there's so much going on there, but one man can come in and his opinion can just destroy it. So you have to sue him. Faber's, it's a done deal. He's put it in the different papers. He's put it in the city newsletter, on all the different sites. It's a done deal. And then the ethics officer's like, well, no, it's not a done deal, right? So you guys have to sue him to stop the golf course from being zoned. Okay, you have to sue Faber for everything. Get public records, look at his finances, look at what he, you know, spends on the city card. But it doesn't matter what you find that he did. The worst thing possible that he could have did to violate an ethics code, the decision comes back to city council. And city council's not going to get rid of Faber. Okay, Faber has got too much power in the town. And Sandoval and Morrow and, you know, there's nothing you can do by talking to city council. It's all just yap. They're not listening to you. And I don't mean this negatively because I am still in the ethics complaint process, not for long. But it's going to go nowhere because even if Faber's guilty of all the stuff I said, and he is, read the complaint yourself. He did all those things. Read the ethics complaint that was filed against him in 2019. He did all those things. But he's above the law. Okay, because if someone come in with like millions and millions of dollars and could sue him for every single thing and afford appeals court and afford to get it in higher and higher courts, you'd win. Okay, Faber's corrupt and he's perverted. And he is inappropriate with teenagers. He is a sexual deviant. He claims himself that he's a social masochist. So he goes out there to get hate at him because that's his fetish. Okay? They do blackmail each other with their sex groups through FetLife. Okay, this is all a fact, and I don't need to be believed. Figure it out, don't figure it out. It hurts you. Okay? My mission here is a mission of God, of Goddess of the Great Spirit. My mission is to shed light in a very, very dark place. And I have, and I'm doing so. Everything I've ever said is 100% true. What you do with it, you do with it. Okay, I'm going to continue reading Faber's letter. Mayor responds. Okay. So first he goes off on Meredith that I'm not upset about the complaint. No, because I have not claimed that ethics complaints against the mayor aren't newsworthy. They absolutely are. Yeah, he did. He claimed they're not newsworthy because they're from me. Right? They're not newsworthy because they're from Brent Shirley and 12 insider whistleblowers. They brought Shirley in and interrogated him. Who are the whistleblowers? We got to know. So they could retaliate against him. Okay. Go ahead and file an ethics complaint against the mayor. You'll be next. Okay. You won't be worthy. It'll take a little different tone if you do it with an attorney. Instead, I've been frustrated at the leader's failure to provide you with clarity. Right. Clarity. If the leader had room for clarity, they could post thousands of documents of public records to show just who Faber is and just what he's really up to. Read the ethics complaint. The Homeward Bound incident was money laundering. His friends, Paul Rice, Theodore Howard, all of them that got $1.4 million a year money and then it just went away, then they knocked the building down, didn't even check for asbestos. It happened. And there's a pattern in history. When you read the ethics complaint, I stated it. I went into all the state the auditing every year. I posted every video where he was in support of Homeward Bound and assured the public that what happened wouldn't happen. All of that's in the ethics report. All of it's true. Will it go anywhere? No. I don't have the money to sue Faber. I really thought that the ethics hearing officer had the power to fine him, to get rid of him, but they don't. It comes back to city council, the same people that were involved in the money laundering, that were involved in the corruption. You, the people, have to take the mantle. All I'm doing is shining light. There's only so much that as a director and my victim's right that I can do. Okay, I've been frustrated at the leader's failure to provide you with clarity or to be responsible with its coverage. I have been frustrated at the leader's limited investigation into the claims against me. Exactly. I'm 100% wish the leader would investigate every claim I've stated. I take 2 to 5 years to investigate it like I have. Every single public record, every FetLife account, every Twitter message, every message to teenagers, every bit of money, every bit of I'm going to handpick a stakeholder of local activists, every bit of I'm going to gather a bunch of people to hate a bunch of other people, every bit of I'm going to get my law firm to represent people that assault women that I don't like. I really do hope the paper researches all that. I have. And it's 100% fact, everything I put out. Yeah, I make fun of them. Look at the documents. Decide for yourself. Think for yourself. I'm not trying to be credible. I'm not trying to be cool and groovy and classy and appropriate. And, I'm the light. Do with it what you want. That was really funny, right? I've been frustrated at the leader's limited investigation. From what I've read about Meredith, she might just investigate you into the claims against me and the failure to ask me basic questions. Right. That's what you do. So when someone commits a crime or you think they might commit a crime, you go, hey, Mr. Someone, did you commit the crime? No. Why would you ask Faber questions? There's no questions to ask Faber. The newspaper would assume that the hearing officer is neutral. Okay, Phil is an expert on zoning laws. So he's going to come in with more information than the paper knows and more than Faber knows. Okay, because Faber don't care about the state laws. He doesn't care about, he just wants to upzone the golf course, turn it into like this Haight-Ashbury thing, and then bait and switch everybody, and then put in high-end houses, and he knows the workforce housing thing isn't going to work. Okay, all you got to do is look at his public records. Okay. I have been frustrated at the leader's limited investigation into the claims against me and the failure to ask me basic questions about the facts of the case. Right. The facts are not in asking Crystal Cox or David Faber any questions. The newspaper asking me or Faber any questions is not fact. The documents are fact. The proof, the videos, the state audits, everything I put in as evidence, those are facts. But I guess we can only get the facts from Faber. I have been frustrated that the leader has not given you relevant context about a complainant. Okay, so say I robbed a bank. I robbed old ladies. I've exploited children. I'm an extortionist. I have committed every crime you can ever imagine. Beat up old ladies in the street. I embezzled money and spent 20 years in prison. I ran a puppy mill farm and I went to jail for that. Any crime you can think of. I'm guilty. Okay, I'm guilty. Now, does that change anything that I said about Faber? This is not about me, folks. This is about you. He wants to discredit you. Every single one of you has a valid voice. Every single one of you are important. Every single one of you get to call out Faber, and you don't have to have, this is my squeaky clean resume that Faber likes. What? If I was a lawyer? What? If I've never fought corruption? What? What do you need my life to be, right? I mean, I'm a free speech landmark case litigant hero, but, that's not good enough for you. What makes me credible? I know I'm not credible to be a living, breathing human being. Neither is Julie Jaman or, Amy Sousa. Faber just went at him. Michael Almain, the guy that said he took his dog and Faber come in and sexualized the comment. He don't care about people. None of those people matter, right? So let's look into the complainant. No, let's look into the facts of what you did. Let's look at what the city did to those people over the last decade. Okay? There was a court order to return a homeless man's dog. The city defied it. I stuck up for the homeless man. It nearly killed him. David Faber made fun of him. Because he got his dog at Center Valley Animal Rescue. Facts are the facts, folks. All right, so we need to look into the complaint. I've been frustrated because they haven't given you relevant context about a complainant. It wasn't a complaint about me. If Faber wants to write a complaint about me, he should write a lawsuit, write a criminal complaint, write something about me, and then we'll litigate the complaint about me. The complaint was about him. Folks, this is an attorney and he's a mayor. He's so ignorant, right? Does this make any sense to you at all? Why would the Port Townsend paper talk about who the complainant is? It wasn't a complaint about me. It was a complaint about him. He could have wrote a complaint about me and then the paper could talk about that. Okay, he's ignorant, willfully and knowingly and deliberately ignorant. Okay, so the leader has not given you relevant context about a complainant who has a notable and storied history. Yeah, I do. A notable storied history of obsessive trolling behavior. Okay, right. I have 15,000 blogs, millions of blog posts. I've been in every newspaper in the world. My case is taught in every law school out there. I had in every journalism school, modern media law. I exposed corruption. I got a lot of bad things shut down. I helped a lot of victims over 20 years. So yeah, there's a lot out there about me. But obsessive trolling behavior, that's not something anybody's ever coined me. I'm not trolling. Anyway, that's probably more Faber's niche there. And conspiracy theory-laden tirades against a wide range of people she perceives to be her enemies. Okay. Never had any enemies. None of the stuff I ever reported on was my enemies. I reported on things to stick up for other people. What Faber did to Julie Jamon and Amy Sousa and those women's not okay. What they did to Michael Almain's not okay. My reporting in my thousands of blogs was about other victims, other bankruptcies, molestations, rapes, robberies, domestic violence, you name it. RICO, the biggest invention of the world, video, I view it. And none of it was ever about me and my enemies. They were about me standing up for other people because that was my spiritual calling. Okay, people she perceives to be her enemies that has landed her in the pages of the New York Times and on Wikipedia. Now, I think Faber's jealous. Yeah, landed me in the New York Times, LA Times, every newspaper in the entire world I was in. I was in the AP press. And I was a hero. Free speech hero for the first month. Then, though they won a $2.5 million judgment against me, Obsidian leaked one email out of 14 in a settlement negotiation to the New York Times. And they did a hit piece on me. Because before my case, the New York Times and all the other big media had a monopoly on free speech. No one had ever went as far as I went. After I won my appeal, which Faber never talks about, in 2014, no longer does the New York Times or any big media or any institutional press have a monopoly on free speech. Now, all online speakers, citizen journalists, investigative bloggers, trolls, have equal rights to any journalist under the Constitution. They have equal shield laws, equal retraction laws, equal rights under the First Amendment. My case was the first of its kind. Before me, people had taken settlements. That $2,500 a month was a settlement negotiation. I said no to every one of them. I wanted the Ninth Circuit to rule. And when the Ninth Circuit said something about the New York Times article, which was against the rules of evidence, completely off the charts. I represented myself in the lower court. You're only allowed to bring in evidence from the lower court. They didn't. They just threw it in arbitrarily. So we did a motion for rehearing on that. I fought back on them bringing in the New York Times article from 2011. November 2011 was my case. I got a $2.5 million judgment against me because the judge said that I was a blogger, not a journalist. Absurd, right? So the porn industry didn't want me to go further. So they sent in Mark Randazza and the guy that did Anatomy of a Scanner. They tried to kill me. I checked my car for car bombs. I was threatened. I was stalked. I was bullied. I was drugged to try to stop me from my appeal. They tried to steal my appeal in lieu of the judgment. Because the porn industry said it's bad enough at the lower court, but if this happens at the higher court, it's going to hurt them. Okay, so that's one side of it. Now, the New York Times, Forbes, LA Times, all the big Reuters, they didn't want me to go further. They didn't want me to win. And if I win, it takes away their power. Okay, all of the like NPR, Democracy Now, the smaller places that had been interviewing me in Portland, the smaller presses, they all they said they're not going to get any more funding if they interview me, because they didn't want everybody, all sides wanted it to stop at the lower court. And I was no way. And I even set it up to not even in my death. I had stuff set up to where the case would go forward even in my death, because I wanted that ruling for everybody else. I was getting thousands of stories of horrific things. I couldn't get children out of homes where they were being raped. I couldn't get women out of horrible situations. I couldn't help men that were having horrible things happen to them. And I couldn't report on them all. And all these people would be begging me to tell their story, and I couldn't tell them all. And so, but that win would mean that they could all tell their own story and be protected. And so I wanted that. And I gave my life for it. That was a tangent. Anyway, it is willful and it's deliberately malicious for Faber to continue to talk about the New York Times article when he knows as an attorney that there was an appeal and I won. He knows that it was a hit piece. He knows that my case was a landmark case, first of its kind. And now everyone has equal free speech rights. And, you know, what I gave up to do it and ended up living in a car in Port Townsend for 7 years because of it all. And because of what the New York Times and all the lies and accusing me of extortion, my own attorney. I begged everybody. I filed criminal charges against myself. I begged him to file criminal charges against me. I tried to get the FBI to file criminal charges of extortion against me so I could litigate it. I never was charged with the crime. I never got to litigate it. I just got the tar and feathering of the public, and this is 13 years later. I didn't file the ethics complaint against Mayor Faber for any of my past to come in. It wasn't about me. Shedding light on what happened. Every day since the Julie Jamon thing, I've been exposing what's going on, and I'm going to continue to do it. Faber is a bad man, and he's done bad, sick things. And the evidence is all out there for anyone that can think for themselves. So go ahead and read the New York Times article, 2011. You know, it's like, like, go back to using iPhone 1. Why did I just say that? Because, you know, what are we at now? iPhone 16? I mean, it was 13 years ago. I won my appeal. I'm taught in every law school. My case has been cited in hundreds of cases to help other people. You know, Faber is a lawyer, and he's defaming me deliberately and maliciously because he doesn't like the truth told about him, you know. Whatever, believe what you want to believe, but the facts are out there. If if he wants to send you a link, look at the New York Times article, look at Wikipedia. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Look at some other stuff too. Like look at Eugene Volokh, constitutional law professor, who's my attorney. Look at, Turley. Look at some of the other headlines that said that, I was a hero, that, I was the first of his kind, that I championed free speech rights. And, you can look at whatever you want. I didn't write an ethics complaint to toot my own horn about my case or to go into how bad I am, right? And it's funny, they all love to quote Mark Randazza, right? Mark Randazza was my attorney who turned on me. Libby Winstrom says, she got all these defamation judgments against her. I don't have one defamation judgment against me, not one. I sued my own attorney. He sued me, and the case went away. I sued him for malpractice and defamation. He filed for bankruptcy. I objected to his bankruptcy, so he sued me for objecting, and then he got a default claim that I didn't answer. And Libby Winstrom's still out there, lying about it. Faber says people need to look at the facts. We need to look at the facts and not listen to your local lying counsel person. Okay? Read the documents yourself or ignore the issue completely. Anyway, he goes on to say, as a result of the New York Times stuff, I've been frustrated by the leader's choice to run loud, sensational headlines above the fold on the front page whenever a minor procedural blip occurs. Okay, it wasn't a minor procedural blip, guys. It was absolutely corrupt. So they stopped the hearing officer from moving forward deliberately because they wanted to finish the comprehensive plan. They wanted to finalize Healthier Together. They didn't want me to disrupt any of that. So it's obvious. So in the Libby Winstrom complaint, John Morrow stated the law, sent it to Phil, clear. But in Faber's thing, it had Healthier Together with the pool stuff, and it had the golf course stuff. So they wanted to stall it. So they came up with the reason to stall it, which was the contract. So, right? And then the paper reported on that, and then I got louder and louder, and they had to push through. So it actually did move forward more before, so Healthier Together fell apart after that. Theodore Howard didn't get to be counselor, right? Because, you know, they're all corrupt. You seen Trent Diamante in the paper last week believing that city council is the city. The councilors are the city. Said, well, whoever owns the property gets to decide where the houses are. And the city owns the property. Yeah, the city's the people. They all think they're God. They think that they own everything. Okay, so it wasn't a minor procedural blip. And then Faber tried to create a false chain of evidence. He did that deliberately. He deliberately answered the wrong email out of the chain. Like, I don't know nothing about it. They all talk. Okay, they don't have any semblance of, we have no conflict of interest. They're one hive mind. Okay, Faber makes fun of me online and the deputy mayor chimes in, right? And she calls me a turf. Laughs. Antifa wasn't there. Meanwhile, the police radio chatters, there's 100 of them confirmed an hour and a half before we got there that night. They're all liars. They're all thugs. They're all doing what they want with your money. And then they want to say, you have to say every blip we do. Yeah, I have to say every blip we do. The Port Townsend community page shut me down. Nextdoor site shut me down. They've all shut me down for years because they didn't want me telling Michael Allmain's side of the story. The homeless guy that the city, went after. So, and the city got about 30 of my Facebook sites and groups and pages shut down that I'd had over 20 years. So they effectively shut me down. So they didn't want the paper to even dare to speak her name because they just wanted to get rid of me. Now, if I'm just some troll that's not to be listened to, why have you done all that to try to shut me up? And believe me, I'm not counting on your fellow council members to hold you to accountability. I'm going to bring you accountability, okay? I'm going to bring it in a much bigger court of law than the city of Port Townsend. And the public of opinion, and yes, making fun of you and exposing you. I know what you've all done, okay? And I haven't even exposed the sickest stuff. But I'm hoping a lot of your victims come forward. And while you're going to be in political role hurting people, I'm going to be watching you and reporting on you. You can call it whatever you want. I call it the light of God. All right. So then he goes on to blather, are you, the reader, aware that the hearing examiner has yet to make a single factual determination regarding the 2 remaining complaints against me? Okay, right. All the complaints against Faber, 100% true. Everything I said about Libby's true. Everything I said about Salish Rescue's true. There's whistleblowers, there's facts, there's witnesses, there's videos, there's incident reports, there's documents over years of everything I've said it all, for you to look at and make up your own mind. The hearing examiner didn't find fault in any of those with Libby, no. But they all went against all the rules, okay? So, like Morrow, when I ordered some of his messages, Morrow says, I only use email. It's against the city code to use anything but email. All the counselors use all social media, do whatever they want. It's against city code. Everything I stated is against city code. Right there, and I state the code it's against. But is the public aware of that? They violate the city codes every day. But the hearing examiner, he's not going to make a factual determination. Now, he's not against the golf course because it didn't happen. But research Phil Ulbrich and zoning laws in Washington. All the laws are there. Everything that the city council was doing at the golf course or trying to do and push forward isn't legal. And they're the judicial system. They're a legislative body when they're doing stuff like this. So the only way for you to stop them, Port Townsend, is to take them to court. You going in and begging them or talking to them isn't going to work. The comprehensive plan, all that, you have to stop them with the court because they are above the law. And yeah, the 2 remaining complaints against him. Well, now there's only one because I just dismissed the the zoning one. And Faber's so ridiculous. She's like, I want to dismiss it, but I want a ruling on, is it okay if I have private property near there? Is it okay? Like, he asked that in the summary judgment. Get my emails, reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com, if you want any documents. Everything is true. And no, it's not going to go anywhere, and Faber's not going to get in any kind of trouble because his judge and jury is city council, his co-conspirators. So when you think there's a neutral third-party hearing examiner, well, there is, but there isn't. Phil he'll only do certain things, and that's if it's quasi-judicial or whatever, or money. But even if he makes a determination, city council decides what to do next, so it's worthless. And Phil doesn't make decisions on, like I said, all the other ethics codes that they violate. So the only thing to do is sue them. First Amendment rights violations, civil rights violations, open meeting law violations, zoning law violations, SEPA, LUPA, the GMA, the comprehensive plan. You have to sue them in Superior Court and then go to a higher court because they are their own dictatorship. They are their own hive mind. And no disrespect to Phil at all, but the process is moot. It is worthless. And when Brent Shirley told you that that process couldn't go anywhere, he was right. It doesn't. There's some things I didn't fully know, and now I do. So Brent Shirley is a local business owner. He was a former mayor. He brought legitimate concerns. Okay, Morrow is abusive. Okay, he's very abusive. I've showed you on my Port Townsend News Facebook of Monica just being abusive to her. And she called him out on it. But then she defended him in the paper. So it's a domestic violence, incestual clusterfuck down there at City Hall, and they're not going to betray each other. Okay, so the only thing you can do is sue them because they're one hive mind. All right. My sense is that the coverage is not giving you that context. Right. The coverage hasn't given you the context that he's not made a factual determination. Right. And I'm telling you that there's no factual determination. You have to go to court. And even when you go to court, if you get something to do with Remsen or Walker, they're corrupt. They work with Libby Winstrom. They give protective orders against me to shut down my prior speech. So I didn't say the word Salish Rescue. They shut down. I brought them a bunch of stuff about how Ginny Ellison was in danger and domestic violence and all her danger, and they give the men a protective order against her. They're horrible and abusive and corrupt. Now, Judge Mack will be the one ruling if you do some of the lawsuits that I've said. I don't know what he'll do. I don't think he's going to go with the corruption on the bigger issues, such as constitutional law, state law, zoning law. So I think that you will get a fair ruling from Judge Mack on issues that are state and federal effective. Not, for example, on, a protective order against the YMCA manager and her lover that, or the thugs at Salish Rescue that assaulted us, okay? He let them keep their protective order against me, which is totally unconstitutional. Judge Mack stated that Walker violated my state and federal constitutional rights by saying I couldn't say the word Salish Rescue or wooden boat or go to the Maritime Center or go to the wooden boat, all that. That's all on my Facebook page, and everything I've ever said is true. And the jokes I make, the jokes are obvious, right? And they're going to continue, And my mayor series, Mayor Yaffel, it's going to continue, okay? Faber likes it. He's a social masochist. Y'all know who he is, okay? And many of you have been to his orgies. You know exactly who he is. In all those pictures where they're all cuddling and snuggling in the photos and his wife's never there. Yeah, you know exactly who this guy is. Okay, so my sense is that the leader's been more interested in drumming up controversy than helping you understand. Okay, well, it's not true. Hundreds and hundreds of people in the community have reached out to the Port Townsend leader. They have wrote articles, they have posted online with their outcry for wanting the golf course to remain open spaces. This is a legitimate issue. And lots of people have spoke out on the Jamon case, and there's a huge civil rights lawsuit. So these issues, the Homeward Bound issue, all these issues are important. And so the paper reporting on something that's important to a large amount of people in the city and the county is not about sensationalism or drumming up controversy. Why would they need to drum up controversy? They have loyal people to buy the paper. They have a paper that's been established a long time. They don't need that. They have longtime advertisers, and it's ridiculous what he's saying. Think for yourself, folks, okay? What does the Port Townsend leader gain by drumming up controversy against the mayor? I'll tell you what they gain. They'll lose advertisers. They'll get constant hate. All the prominent people, all the big money people in town that are Faber's buddies, Centrum, the Fort Worden people, the hospital, the Rose Theater, maybe Propolis, maybe the Main Street stuff. Okay, did I already say Centrum? Every nonprofit you can think. Okay, YMCA, Dove House, every nonprofit, every Jefferson Healthcare, every prominent business out there, the Port Townsend leader stands to lose ad dollars by reporting on the ethics complaint. So what do they gain for standing up for the people, the truth, and reporting the story? Think for yourself, folks. Faber is not speaking the truth here. Unwind it and think for yourself. It doesn't matter what you think of me. My name is irrelevant. Just assume I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal bad guy, okay? But what does all this mean to you? And is it true? Okay, my sense is that this is a pattern of behavior that hurts our community. Right. And I matter. I matter. What I saw you guys do to Julie Jamon and Amy Sousa matters. What I saw you do to homeless people matters. What Faber's one of his clients killed himself because of how he treated him matters, okay? The pattern that hurts the community is Faber. His bestiality, his disgusting tweets, his inciting blood and violence from one group to another, his prejudice against one group and another, his severe emotional mental disability that you can see in the newsletters of where he's basically crying and how sad he is at how these words of all the stuff that was said at this meeting hurt. It didn't say it. The transcript, people didn't even say what he said. He went emotionally off his rocker and had to be reined in by the city attorney and the city manager. It's all in public records. He's not fit to lead. He is hurting the community. What he did at the press conference, what Libby Winstrom did with the YMCA manager telling Libby spreading it all over, Jason Saranas, Mia Culpa, David Faber, them letting people in the back door, the police watching us get beat, divided this community forever. And until you acknowledge it, it cannot heal. So, since the day of the press conference, it's been my mission to acknowledge it, shed light on it so it heals. All the public records, the lawsuits, the complaints is all to bring light, to heal the hearts, to heal the minds, to heal the souls of the people. What you do with it, you do with it. I'm the light. Faber's behavior hurts the community. Think for yourself, folks. Bye for now. I love you.